Got a good feeling about this. Oh! I'm Limo, and you're listening to Pitch In, a podcast series exploring the people who make sport happen and the volunteers who keep communities connected. Sport might bring us together, but volunteers are the reason we stay connected. In this series, we're travelling across Australia to meet the extraordinary people who pitch in, not for money or recognition, but because they believe in the power of community. This episode is about how clubs band together after disaster hits. Local sport often becomes more than just a game. It becomes a part of recovery. These stories show how sport can help communities come together, heal, and find a place to gather again. I'm Limo, and this is Pitch In. There we go. Jarrod, how are you, mate?
How you going, mate? Thanks, Limo.
Good to see you.
Yeah,
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no worries, mate.
I'm at the Shepparton Swans Football and Netball Club in regional Victoria, where President Jarrod Sutherland reflects on the devastating chapter in the club's history when major floods tore through Shepparton. The home ground was left badly damaged, forcing the club into a long and uncertain rebuild. In the aftermath, volunteers, officials and the wider community came together alongside government support and AFL assistance to restore the facilities and bring the club back to life. Jarrod, let's start and learn a little bit about you first. Are you Shepparton born and bred?
I am, yeah. Born here in Shepparton. Married a local girl as well who's from Shepparton, Carly. Lived here my whole life. Pretty much been here all the time.
And what are your early recollections of country sport as a kid?
I played junior footy here after school footy, and it was. A lot of the times that I played junior footy, we enjoyed participating in the mateship and everything like that in playing footy. Yeah, it was great times. You
played here, and when your playing days finished, you obviously remained involved in the club. Did you move straight into an administrative type role with the club?
Well, pretty much I moved straight on the committee. And I was on the committee for quite a few years before becoming president. Yeah, I have been involved pretty much since I played.
And what is it for you? Obviously, it's in your DNA, it's in your bones. You've been here since you're a kid. Yep. But what are the couple of things you really love about this footy club?
I really enjoy seeing the young kids develop, and not just on football and netball court, but around town. And you see them getting a new job, and you live their life as well. You walk down the street and they always say g'day, and it's just that part of community. And my kids both play here, my two boys, so I'm involved as well with their friends and all of that. So I think it's a great thing to be involved in.
And I guess in football clubs in communities like this, it extends beyond the ground, doesn't it, as you say?
Absolutely. And I think, I probably feel when I wasn't a very confident kid when I was younger, and I certainly wasn't very good at football when I was very young. But the football club provided a somewhere for me to go and meet people and feel part of something.
You've been incredibly connected to this club for a very long time, and then in 2022, the floods hit. So can you talk us through your memory of that and the initial impact that you saw it have on the club?
Well, I guess for a start, we've got a levee bank all the way around the ground, which...
Yeah, it's done its job forever, as far as you can recall.
Yeah. So it may have been over there, a long time ago, but I've been involved with the club since, probably mid-80s, late 80s, and in that time, we've had no water over that levee bank. So when they sort of said, the water's coming up and potentially flood, and maybe we better clean out the rooms before, the flood comes in, I was sort of a bit sceptical, thinking, we should be right. I don't think it's never happened, I can remember. But so, the water came over, and luckily we had gone, and, everyone from the local community, even people down the road here from other clubs and whatever, came and gave us a hand, pull all our memorabilia out and that type of thing. We came down and started pulling stuff out, and even then I was sort of thinking, I think we're sort of jumped the gun a bit here. I don't know if we really need to do it. My wife was pretty insistent that we should. Yeah. Luckily, because the next morning, the water had already started coming over and started to rise.
Jarrod and the volunteers came down the next day to get all the final bits out of the club rooms.
There was no water in the club rooms at that point, but it was coming up to the front step, and we sort of knew that it was going to go under. So we pulled out what was left, and then from there, obviously, the water kept rising until it was like a big lake in here.
And I guess once you've pulled everything out, it's just sit back and see how high the water gets.
Yeah, absolutely.
After that.
This ground got re-sowed because once the water got over the levee bank, and then within a week the water receded, however, the levee bank had no way of letting the water out. rebuilt. So this was like a lake for a good part of probably a month. The rooms were gone anyway. That was done. But the ground had to be re-sowed. Probably, maybe they could have got away without having to re-sow the ground had they been able to let the water out of here somehow.
On the ground here, the water, you've showed me some photos. It's probably up about shoulder high on us.
Yeah, at least probably. Yeah.
On the ground here.
Yeah, I would say even maybe more, yeah.
So at what point did you realise, these club rooms are stuffed?
Yeah.
And what was that moment of realisation for you? I mean, you'd spent your childhood and your adult life basically living in those club rooms.
Yeah, well, look, I guess we hoped that it could be rebuilt, so that was our initial thoughts. But then once, we inspected, when the water went down again, after a month or so, we went in and had a look, and all the floorboards were all buckled and the walls were all, decayed and whatever, and there was mud everywhere. You don't think about exactly what's going to happen from there. You sort of, we'll sort it out, we'll clean it out, we'll get going. We've got people that have volunteered to help the club, patch it up and whatever. But once we realised the extent of the damage to there, then we realised that it was going to have to be pushed over.
So you need to get this place organised for the new season.
Yeah.
Obviously, the new club rooms aren't going to happen overnight.
No, that's right.
So talk us through the next phase once the water clears off the oval.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of work to do, and council, to their credit, did offer a lot of assistance there. So the ground was covered in mud. It was brown. There was logs that had floated in to the ground and whatever. So all that to be cleared off. All the seating and everything had to be washed down, and we had no real facilities here. So luckily, Rumballara, another ground and another football club just out the road here, were able to utilise their ground for training. Cricket played elsewhere. And then luckily council had a couple of containers, which you can see there was a bar container and a canteen. They moved those here. And then really the turning point, I think, came when the AFL actually came and said, look, we've got some portable rooms that you guys can borrow until you get yourself sorted out. So those portable rooms, they were brand new at the time. They'd just been ordered, I think. So they arrived here, and that was the turning point, because if we didn't have change rooms and any facilities, we would have had to have moved elsewhere, at least even temporarily. Well,
you just couldn't play here, could you? If there's no change rooms for the players.
Yeah.
So the AFL comes to the party there. Yep. The local council comes to the party here. Yep. Neighbouring clubs come to the party.
Yeah.
But over and above all of that, you must have had individuals, volunteers coming out of the woodwork who were absolutely here from day one. Talk us through the community engagement where the individuals volunteered their time, their resources, their efforts to help you out.
Yeah, well, look, there was a lot of offer of support, particularly when the talk of rebuilding the rooms after they were flooded. As far as actual work on the ground, we had to clean things and whatever, but council did help us out with a lot of that. And and even re-sowing of the ground. That's one thing that I must say the council got on pretty quickly once they could and re-sowed this ground, which, you can see now it's in magnificent condition. So we were very fortunate, for their assistance in that.
You often hear stories of disasters or events like this unifying a community. Yeah. Did you get a strong sense that it really brought the community together?
Yeah, definitely. I think, for certain, in our club, it certainly did. It pulled all our members closer together. And, a lot of other clubs, were sympathetic. They understand that we don't have rooms, and, they'll still stick around and have a drink after the game and whatever, even though we might be out in the open. But, definitely our club, all of our players, there was a lot of concern initially because they're like, what's going to happen? Are we going to are we going to be here? Are we existing? Are we folding? And all this type of things. I was pretty confident the whole way through, and as was our committee and everyone, all the senior members of our club, that we would push on and make something happen. But, there's always that worry for those kids. So, but it definitely did unify us.
So what's your timeline on your new club rooms?
Nothing happens in a hurry, as everyone, and then everyone jumps up and down and goes, what's happening? But in the background, there's a lot happening. So, they've started to move some dirt, and we will be in by the end of the start of next season. So, that'll be great.
How's that going to feel for you when you see that open, the teams run out for their first game here? I mean, you must have fantasised about this moment. What's that going to be like for you and the community when that happens?
It'll be fantastic. I mean, we're all excited. It's just, I guess, a turning point in our club's history where we've been through some adversity and, something great is going to happen. And now I think everyone can sense, the bit of positivity It's been hard. It's hard on everyone, volunteers particularly. And I think had things stretched on for much longer, I can just see people are getting tired, particularly volunteers.
Yeah.
But now there's a sense of excitement, going forward. Our clubs had to contribute a fair amount of money to the building on top of what the insurance money and everything was.
Sure. Yeah.
So, that I think is a good thing in a way because it cements our club's commitment to being the permanent tenant at this ground for a long time.
I'm in Mallacoota, Victoria, meeting with Callista Cooper, a key figure in a local surfing group that played an important role in the town's recovery after the devastating 2019-2020 bushfires. She encouraged the group to come together each week and connect back with nature and their community through surfing.
We can hear the waves in the background. Sounds beautiful. Is this your happy place down at the beach here?
This is my happy place, yeah. It's spectacular. You can just look out, you see the Southern Ocean, feel the wind on your face.
It's amazing. I mean, this morning we've got the sun coming over and there's hardly a breath of wind. Is this rare for it to be this quiet?
It's very rare. We've had so much wind. It's been relentless.
Take us back to 2019, January 2020, when the bushfires hit. Terrible time for Victoria, but especially here at Mallacoota. What are your memories of that period?
Yeah, it was a really terrible time for the whole east coast of Australia. We watched, the north coast burn, and then, just before New Year's, we saw the ash in the sky, felt that raining down, and it's a pretty surreal feeling, actually.
What began as simple sessions in the surf grew into something much bigger, a place for people to come each week and connect through the ocean. As the fires bore down on Mallacoota, Callista was forced to flee as the roads closed behind her, cutting her off from home for a full month. When she finally returned after everything had changed, the first place she went wasn't inside her house, it was straight back into the ocean.
We just drove actually straight back here to this point and just jumped in the ocean because that was our way of coming back home.
You wanted to feel the ocean to reconnect with your town.
100%. The landscape was so different. It was, it was just black and white. It was so charred. It was unrecognisable.
What did that feel like for you?
It's pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I mean, even 6 years talking about it can be a little bit emotional. It's seeing people's houses burn and streets that so well are just, you couldn't even work out where houses were. It was really, really heartbreaking.
Then the community had to set about recovering from the bushfire, which I imagine there were many, many different aspects to that. But you settled on the idea of surfing as part of the recovery. So how did you come to that?
Well, a few different reasons. So I started working for RecLink, which is a sport and rec organisation. It delivers sport. And we talked with community, and what we were hearing was people feeling really flat, stagnant, broken. They didn't want to come out.
Yeah.
And people were talking about the environment and how much it had changed and how they didn't feel safe. So what we did was we actually started with an ocean confidence program, and that was just to reintroduce people to the ocean. So talking about the tides, the winds, the waves, the different ways the sand moves, and getting people to feel comfortable. And actually at the end of a 10-week program, we got people to swim from that beach over to the harbour, and you wouldn't believe how much that made a difference to those people. They were just ecstatic. So from that Ocean Confidence program, we then set about undertaking a surfing program.
Yep.
So we got our surfing qualifications and just started teaching women how to surf.
And there was good engagement with it in those early days when people were reconnecting with the town?
There was, of course. We were in the middle of COVID, so there were lockdowns in and out, which made things a little tricky. But for the women that were in the surfing group, they were religiously turning up when we were able. Through winter, we expected that there'd be a lot of people pulling out, that it was really cold and the wind and the rain. So we'd come down assuming no one would turn up, and everyone would be there in their wetsuits, ready to go.
You know you're having an impact when they turn up in the middle of winter. And when you started the program, what were you hoping that it would give people emotionally and practically as well?
So emotionally, it was really about that reconnection. It was really just trying to get people to come together. There had been so much trauma. So it was a way for bringing people together, building their confidence. And physically, it was about taking control of their environment again, feeling safe at home, feeling like they can take their families to the beach and take their kids surfing.
The ocean is a unique beast, isn't it? And what did the ocean deliver that could help people work through that trauma?
There's something magical about the ocean. I don't know what it is, but it's so powerful and so healing. I think it's the way that it changes every day. It's so dynamic. You've got to be really present. You can't ever turn your back on the ocean. You've just got to be there, be in the moment. You can't be thinking about all the trauma that's going on because you're actually just trying to survive the ocean sometimes.
In the wake of the disaster, many locals were understandably fearful about returning to the ocean and the beach. Through the surfing group, Callista helped create a safe and supportive space for the community to reconnect with the water, rebuild confidence and find a sense of normalcy again.
Well, I know one woman, she was talking about how she took her kids to the beach and she was so stressed. She was actually crying seeing them out in the waves because she thought she wouldn't be able to help them. And so going through that ocean confidence program, going through that surfing program, then empowered her to take her kids to the beach and not only feel comfortable and safe, but also she could join them out in the surf.
Why do you think sport and physical activity can be such a powerful tool in disaster recovery?
I think sport and recreation just gives you that social connection. It's so important. But it also, there's no rules around how you have to engage. People came along and they might just watch or they might just participate for a little bit, and that was fine. There was no pressure on what they had to do. And it was about slowly building their confidence until they could step into participating, and in some cases then that did lead on to volunteering to run the session. So it was about giving people time and space to recover as they needed, and also being there, that consistency.
We've been here for a while on the beach this morning, but we've been talking to people who have been walking past, and Mallacoota did an incredible job with things like the pony club as well, as we've heard this morning, the golf club, the soccer club, and there was something about a heightened re-engagement after the disaster, wasn't there?
There was. I think initially there was probably a little bit of that volunteer fatigue. And it was about having those frameworks in place to support volunteers to be able to keep going on, and so they felt supported as well.
What lessons have you learnt here in Mallacoota from a disaster recovery perspective that perhaps other communities can learn from who go through similar things?
I think one of them is about being consistent, recognising recovery isn't the same for everyone, and it's not just a 1 or 2 year recovery. It's actually a lot longer than that, and it's being able to give space for everyone to go through their recovery and being there so that when they are ready to engage, the programs are still running, the support is still there for them to engage.
Because everyone's different, aren't they? So you've got to do it in your own way.
Yep. All sorts of people's recoveries were, no one was linear. Everyone was dealing with some kind of trauma. So it was being able to respect their time and space. When they were ready to re-engage, we were there to support.
Yeah. So what role did community and informal connection play in bushfire recovery as opposed to the more formal recovery services that were provided?
People were more inclined to walk into a sport or recreation activity without that pressure of that clinical environment, and also that fly in, fly out, where community had to retell their story to different professionals, whereas they could just come to an activity, enjoy themselves, have that sense of belonging and feel part of the community. Yeah, it was really important.
But let's go and say hello to the ocean.
Okay, great.
Lisa Hasker OAM is one of Australia's leading sport administrators, best known as the former CEO of Vic Sport, the peak body for sport and recreation in Victoria. Through her work at Vic Sport, she has supported countless clubs through times of crisis, including disaster recovery and rebuilding after extreme weather events. I spoke to Lisa about the real impact disasters have on local sporting communities and what it takes to help them recover and rebuild.
A flood or a fire, it stops everything. So all of a sudden, there's no sport.
Yeah.
Your ground's gone, or you're told you're not allowed to play, and everything stops. So it's like, how do you maintain the momentum to make sure that when you can go again, there's the volunteers, there's the ground, there's the funding, there's the support, and people don't just go off and do something else.
Yeah.
Because that's always a big risk. And sport comes back to what they're doing, which involves every bit of the community. Not only the people in the sporting club, but the companies in town, the catering, the sponsors, it brings everyone back together. So hugely important. And sport kind of starts that process because people are desperate to get back to playing, and then they get back to that community connection piece.
So sport plays a key role, doesn't it, in rebuilding a community post-disaster?
It does, because most people, particularly in regional areas, most people are involved in a couple of sports, and it'll be the same people that are on the footy committee and the netball committee or the footy and cricket. And they will be the people that then band together as soon as everything's kind of sorted and get everyone back together, which is really important for healing, you know, especially in a disaster recovery.
That first game of footy back after a flood or a fire, or that first game of cricket back after a flood or a fire.
Yeah, look, it's really important because it's not only the people on the field that want to play, but it's the committees, it's the families, it's the barbie with the kids coming along, the grandma coming along. It's that community connection. And COVID we were on and off for a long time, and there was periods of time where we were off for 6 months, and people really started to be affected by the fact that they weren't connected. And in a lot of areas, their only connection is the footy club or the netball club or the karate club, archery, whatever it happens to be.
And when disaster does hit, local sporting teams or grounds take on a really important recovery role as well, don't they?
We had a family farm caught up in the Longwood fires, and everyone was heading to spaces like sporting clubs. And also it was the sporting clubs and the teams of people from the sporting clubs that helped in the recovery straight after, just getting trees off roads. Just helping put up the first lot of fences so you could keep animals in. So, you know, the footy guys became the kind of, you know, extra CFA volunteers.
Your fire recovery team. So the volunteers from your sporting organisations extend their roles out to volunteer to help the broader community. And what would you say to someone who's perhaps considering volunteering? What would you say to them about the benefits they would get from volunteering in a local sports community, but then the deeper benefits they'll get in their community when they're helping a sports club recover from disaster?
Volunteer numbers dropped after COVID. People went off and found something else because we were off for so long that the numbers dropped. So we did a lot of work to encourage people from outside sport to see the benefits of coming and helping your sporting club. You know, are you someone that is an accountant? Could you come and be the finance person for the local footy or soccer club or archery, whatever? Is there a club down the road that you've watched and you've driven past every day but you've never been involved in, but they might just need someone to act as the president? Or they might just need someone to come and help do small jobs around the place. So go and actually ask the question, because there's always work to do. There's never enough people. There's always a job, and it's really fulfilling to help a club keep running. Watch young people come into the club and thrive. Watch people start the club at 5 and finish at 85. And there's plenty of jobs to do even if you're not sporty in a sporting club. So we're just trying to work on encouraging people to think of volunteering in a sporting club even if you're not sporty. Because most people think, oh, I'm semi-retired, I'm going to volunteer. And they think, okay, Asylum Seeker Resource Centre, which is all fantastic. But think of a sporting club as well, even if you haven't come from a sporting background, because we need the skills and we need the people to help. And I mean, you know, in Victoria alone, there's, you know, what have we got, 5-6 million people in Victoria, 3.5 million are involved in sport. And we need to keep that number up, because the amount of sporting clubs stretched across 125 sports across the whole of Victoria is a lot. So we need bodies to help,
Yeah.
and you want to get extra people that offer a different perspective, different background,
Yeah.
and it can keep making those sporting clubs thrive because they're so important.
What a great episode that was, showing how community can really come together to unite after disaster hits. Well, that was Lisa Hasker there. But Jarrod and Callista, both incredibly inspirational figures. Jarrod helping to rebuild the football club with the community, and Callista starting that surf group to help her community reconnect with the ocean and get together in a time of need. These clubs become places people can lean on when they need it the most. This has been Pitch In, hosted by me, Limo. Thanks for listening. Pitch In is supported by the Australian Government.